It's glad to have you join us. Nigeria loses about $3 billion annually to illegal exports of gemstones. African Gems and Jewelries exhibition spokesperson Regina Eduzwa says the export of rough gemstones from Nigeria was costing the country $3 billion per annum in capital flight. She added that for gemstones to yield the required revenue to Nigeria, they must be caught and polished locally before they are exported. The Minister of State for Mines and Steel Development, Bawa Wari, says government will continue to do all within its power to ensure that the mining sector was more attractive to investors. Electricity theft is an illegal use of electricity service with the intention to avoid billing charge. It is a problem for the electricity supply industry in many countries, with huge consequences in loss of revenue and danger to life and property. In developed countries, it appears to be more controlled, which is evident in low levels of non-technical losses, in some cases below 10%. Well, on the other hand, less developed countries are characterized with high non-technical and revenue losses. According to the Nigerian Power Baseline Report of 2015, Nigeria was estimated to have technical losses of 12% and non-technical losses of 34%, giving a combined total of 46% in aggregate technical and non-technical losses. Electric utilities have complained about the level of commercial and collection losses in the country. Even distribution companies have complained. For instance, Port Harcourt Distribution Electricity Distribution Company claimed losses of 233 million naira monthly in revenue. Ikeja Electricity Distribution Company reported a total of 134,000 meters has also been installed in 5 years and have been tampered with. Worried about the incessant power challenges in the country caused partly by stealing energy and vandalization of electricity facilities by disgruntled members of the public, the Senate Committee on Power Development, Steel Development and Metallurgy has disclosed its plans to harmonize all laws in the country dealing with energy theft and vandalism into a single bill. The initiative is expected to help drive growth in the power sector and help distribution companies mitigate losses. The chairman Senate Committee on Power, Einaya Baribe, said DISCOs are operating under a tremendous difficult situation, and anybody who starts a business stands at a loss when the cost of what is given is less than the selling price. Well, let's look at this critically as I have the Director General of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Muda Yusuf, who joins me via Skype from Lagos. And also from our Abuja studios, I have a former Director General, Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Chijoke Ezechuku. Many thanks, gentlemen, for joining me at this time.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon.
All right, let me start from Abuja now. Now, former DG, let's look at energy theft and how it affects big companies, talking about, for example, steel industry in Nigeria, where power is really used in large, when we talk about megawatts that is required to power equipment there. Tell us, how has it been and what are the feelers you've been getting at the chambers when you were there?
The problem with theft is the fact that when such theft is taking place, it will be difficult for the country to track, to even know what size of electricity that is being consumed. It will be difficult to know what electricity is contributing to the GDP of the country. It will be difficult to track information and necessary data on the consumption level and participation of various institutions concerning electricity. That is just the danger of theft. And you see, until the country does so much about tracking theft and making sure that theft is eliminated, then it will be a little difficult to track the extent of contribution of the energy sector to the economy of Nigeria.
One component of commercial losses is the energy theft. That is the practice of people particularly mostly households and people, the low-level people at the bottom of the pyramid, tampering with meters and all of that. So that is one area, that is one aspect of the commercial loss. And of course, it is a major problem, especially having regard to the capacity of the DISCOs to properly monitor these things. In fact, there are instances where there are even resistance by the citizens in some areas, some highly densely populated areas, where even the officials of these DISCOs are not even allowed to tamper with the electricity, either to disconnect or to even impose any actions on these people. It is that bad. Secondly, there's the aspect of the MDAs. There are some institutions that deliberately don't pay. You will recall that last year, the DISCOs claimed that the government institutions, including the military, the ministries, and so on, were owing them about 90 billion naira. Although this claim was debunked by the minister, and the minister said what was being owed was just about 27 billion. Even 27 billion was still a lot of money. It took the intervention of the minister to go to FEC to ensure that some of these funds were deducted at source. So that is also one major area of commercial losses, because when it comes to some of these public institutions, particularly the military formations, the DISCOs are very helpless. It's very difficult for them to disconnect, and if they refuse to supply electricity, sometimes they could be met with some very rash actions. So that is another major complaint that we need to deal with. Then there's also the problem of collusion between the officials of the DISCOs and some unscrupulous consumers to manipulate bills, to do all sorts of things. Don't forget, most of the staff that are currently in the DISCOs were also like, they are like legacy staff that were taken over from the old PACN to DISCOs and all of that. So there's still a lot of hangover of the problem of attitudes and all of that, work ethics and so on, even within the system. So these are the three critical areas of commercial losses that DISCOs are grappling with, and it's affecting their ability to deliver. But what I would say is that there's a need to make better use of technology. Because when we are talking about this kind of malpractices, it's also a form of corruption. We should be able to use technology to deal with this, so that this issue of bypassing meters and all of that will be made even more difficult.
All right.
There was this issue of smart metering and so on and so forth. I think such measures can help to mitigate the problem.
Okay, DG. Now to Dr. Chijioke. After the privatization of the power sector, many thought that, well, everything was going to work well. We're going to have steady supply and all of that. But even the prepaid meters, which is part of the agreement, talking about both government and on the DISCO side, that should be provided for consumers, many still bypass these new meters. What will be responsible for this kind of development?
It's really disappointing. After all the promises we had concerning the outcome of privatization, that has taken place in the power sector. Nigerians are yet to get the kind of satisfaction they expected and that were promised. One of the problems is the area of the meter you mentioned. I still don't understand why metering has to be a problem in Nigeria. Now, many times you see some of the meters that are sent to households are very faulty ones. Some of them will burn certain household equipment. I can talk about my experience in my own house. There was one time, because the light was passing through the meter into my house, it burnt virtually every electrical appliance I had, and that was a problem. It took another 8 months to be able to invite the electricity company, distribution company, to come and change that. But of course, before the 8 months, they were billing me arbitrarily. Now, a house that used to pay like 20,000 monthly was billed up to 60,000, and of course the next month the thing will increase to 70,000, and you wonder, is there no measurement of what should be paid or what people should be billed? And so this arbitrary billing and arbitrary things that are happening in the sector are the things that are making people to look for the other way. How to cheat, how to tamper with the meters, how to bring the distribution company staff to come and help them do all this. That is just what is causing it. Otherwise, I know that up to 40% of people who are consuming electricity may not be paying. And even if they're paying, they're not paying appropriately what they're supposed to pay because of the difficulty in even having access to these meters. And when you have the meter, you see that sometimes the thing will just not work the normal way. And once the thing starts having a problem, the next issue you have is that they will start charging you monthly flat charges. And of course, every month the thing increases and every month the thing changes. So consumers don't even have the right to know how much they're supposed to consume, just like you know in telephone consumption. You don't even know, but no consumer, we don't know how much we're supposed to consume and how much we're supposed to be paid, billed. And so these are all the problems if the only problem we have is the fact that we don't have enough electricity, it would have been more understood. But here, we also have problems where our meters are not available. Many people have applied for these meters, they're not available. Is it difficult? We need to get it right. I understand part of the problem of the sector is funding. And that funding is the major problem they have. And we need to also, I'm sure government is also looking at the issue of helping the electricity distribution companies to be able to deal with these funding gaps that they have always had.
Indeed. Now to Mr. Muda Yusuf, the GENCOs have been privatized. I think only the transmission end of it is left with the federal government. Distribution companies have also been privatized. But with all of these lapses, with all of the investments in this sector, is it not like just pouring water into a basket?
It's not exactly so. I think the whole idea is to get private sector resources to power the sector, which is not a bad idea. But clearly, we don't seem to have got the framework right. Now, in the electricity system, we have a long chain, beginning with the gas suppliers, to the GENCOs, to the transmission companies, and to the DISCOs. And just as it is often said, a chain is only as strong as the weakest link in that chain. So if any part of the chain is weak, the whole system collapses. Now, the DISCOs have been identified as the weakest link in the chain because of their financial capacity and because of their technical capacity. And the reasons we have that, I think that's a different story. It could be as a result of the process that led to the emergence of the DISCOs and all whatnot. But clearly, we have very serious challenges along the entire value chain. The GENCOs have been complaining bitterly. There was a time there were huge areas that were owed the GENCOs. There were instances where the GENCOs generated electricity. The electricity could not be offloaded into the grid. Even where they are successfully uploaded into the grid, sometimes the DISCOs don't have the capacity to take the electricity. So this is a major problem, and it's creating a lot of dislocations in the entire system. The DISCOs, of course, sometimes have issues with the payments to the gas suppliers. The gas suppliers sometimes threaten to stop the supply of gas. The GENCOs are also sometimes not paid by the transmission company and the DISCOs. So, and the whole arrangement of the bulk trader that has been put together to serve as a stopgap in financing, sometimes because of budgetary provisions or budgetary constraints, the bulk trader also don't have the capacity to pay the GENCOs. So it's a whole lot of problem. I think what we need to do is to unpack the entire thing and just have a total review of the entire process. And we should also be looking at the possibility of decentralizing the process, because the whole system of electricity provision in this country is too centralized. We should be looking more in the direction of the mini grids, in the direction of embedded power generation. We should be looking more in the direction of renewable energy. solar and all of that, so that individual households, rural communities, individual estates can begin to have their own power. I think ultimately that is the way to go. The current model clearly has not worked for us, and I believe that it needs to be urgently reviewed.
All right, now, Dr. Chijioke, almost finally for you, this is actually, according to reports now, shows that it's giving uneven competition among industries when they can't really compete because they don't have enough power or they are paying too much even when they have little supply.
It is a major problem, really. We know a good number of companies that shut down their production sites in Nigeria and left. If we don't even have a good number, we know the textile factories that are all in Kaduna in the north. We know Michelin in Port Harcourt. We know Dunlop in Lagos. These companies all shut down because of the challenges they were having because of lack of power, or of course, even when the power was there, it was so high in cost that they could not compete with imported goods that are related to what they were producing here. It is a problem. And you know, when Nigerians talk about the problem of manufacturing sector being power, it's not as if we are over-exaggerating it. It will remain our problem until we solve power problem. What is really happening right now is that companies are shut down in Nigeria and they go to neighboring African countries and establish those same factories and then bring in their products into Nigeria to compete with the ones that are being produced in Nigeria. Now, as this happens, jobs are lost. As this happens, our GDP is going down. And of course, the revenue base of the country continues to go down. Imagine what would have happened if all these factories were producing and taxes and cost, import duties are received from all these companies. You will be so shocked the kind of revenue we have lost just because the power sector has actually made it impossible for manufacturing sector to do well. These are part of the problems we've been talking about, and we've been talking about it for years. Now, the problem I have seen here is not the fact that there are no solutions. There are solutions, just that we have lip service to those solutions. Have we thrown it open to power companies all over the world to say, look, gentlemen, you people come and give me a solution to this, and anybody who comes to bring the solution, we'll go with him? We have not thrown it open to power companies all over the world. Until we do that, then we'll continue to dance around all the problems we have created for ourselves because of the people who think they own the power sector. It is now time for us to throw this open to the entire world to say, if you can solve the problem in Nigeria, please come and give us a solution and we'll give you the business. Until we do that, we'll continue to dance around. That is just my take.
All right, there. Thank you very much, Dr. Chijioke there from Abuja, former Director General of Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much, Dr. Chijioke Ezechukwu, for joining us on Business Nigeria today.
Thank you.
Mr. Yusuf, before you go, I also want you to directly its effect on big industries. You've heard of the Dunlops of this world. Even I was particular about the steel industry too, the consumption of power, this uneven competition and sending them out of business. It's not a step, it's not really helping our GDP, helping our economy in any form.
Yes, it's a very big problem. There is no way we can industrialize this economy. There is no way we can achieve our objective of economic diversification if we do not fix the power sector problem. And in doing so, I believe we need to deal with it in a very fundamental way. We need to unpack the current arrangement and look at it very critically and pursue the option of complete decentralization of the process. Because as we speak, the challenges of over-centralization have been so entrenched even by the legislations that through which this current reform is also created. It's so bad that even some of the investors that want to provide power and all of that have been prevented because of legislative issues, because of legal issues and so on. So we need to deal with that and allow more investors to come in at a decentralized level so that you can have pockets of power generation across the country, across the communities, in estates, in the rural areas, and so on and so forth. And we should be looking more in the area of renewable energy. We need to reduce import duty, for instance, on solar panels, on batteries. The import duties on those materials are too high. All right. Because many households will not mind to just put some solar panels on your houses and begin to move on with your lives.
Mr.
So these
Muda
are some
Yusuf,
of the things we need to.
Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you for your contributions to the program today, this Wednesday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. Well, Effiong Ekopumbi joining us today. Like I said earlier, the Exchange Traded Product Conference is ongoing now, and this will have regulators, capital market operators, all there, as well as current and prospective ETP issuers. They will be there discussing this product and other issues surrounding the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Before we go, let's tell you that South Africa is out of recession. Its first recession in almost a decade, as the economy grew by more than expected in the third quarter. Data from Statistics South Africa's office shows that the economy expanded 2.2%. That's in the third quarter. This was helped by farms and factories production, as against second quarter, snapping out of recession after a revised 0.4% contraction in the previous quarter. The positive data is a boost for President Cyril Ramaphosa, who has pledged to restart growth after a decade of stagnation under his predecessor, Jacob Zuma. World crude oil market remains uncertain as OPEC members meet this Thursday at Vienna, Austria. Most analysts expect output cuts to be agreed upon. Iran has warned that oil price could crash further if the cartel fails to reach an agreement. The United States Treasury Department has targeted 6 individuals and 3 entities that it says are part of an Iranian-Russian network providing millions of barrels of oil to the government of Syria and funding the militant groups Hamas and Hezbollah. Well, a lot of papers, a lot of documents in the world of business. Well, that's it on the show today. Thank you very much for watching. I am Tolu Lokwe Ogunjobi. Bye for now.